Hey guys, my name's David and this is Unbound. And now that we're in about mid-September, my work camping gig here at Madison Arm Resort near Yellowstone National Park is coming to a close. I only have 2, maybe 3 weeks left here. Summer is officially over here at Yellowstone. It's because we're at such high elevation, 6,400 feet right here. And so it's starting to get really cold. The peaks of the mountains are already snowy and it's not long before the snow starts here also. And so this campground is about to close for the season. Since I've gone through this whole season work camping here, I wanted to give you guys a pros and cons of work camping so that, you would have a better idea of what work camping is actually like. Now, what's pretty crazy is that when I was making up this pros and cons list, for every pro that I could think of, there was a con that went with it. And so right now I'm quite undecided as to whether or not I enjoyed this work camping experience and whether I would do it again. And so it's gonna be up to you to decide whether the pros outweigh the cons or the cons outweigh the pros. And also keep in mind that this is all coming from the perspective of someone that has worked maintenance at a fairly busy campground. So I know that there's a huge range of different work camping opportunities, different jobs, different places. And this is just my one experience at this particular campground. So the first pro, obviously, is money. I'm working this job because it pays. I've been working full time here almost 40 weeks, sometimes a little over 40 weeks when we got super busy and, they needed some extra help. And so, that extra money coming in every 2 weeks, we get paid bi-weekly, has been really nice. And the checking account has certainly gone up faster than it would have without, working here. And now 2 pieces of equipment that I've been using to help me film this video is the Heybike MARS 2.0 e-bike that I've been riding around this pretty big campground that I work camp in. It's helped me quickly get around to all of the different filming locations. And also I've been using the LARK M2 wireless mic by Hollyland. And this is actually the first time I've ever gotten to use a lavalier mic like this. And it's really cool because I can be as far away from the camera as I want and the audio stays the exact same. And so having these 2 pieces of equipment for this video has been really cool, and they are this video's sponsor. The Heybike MARS 2.0 is an upgraded 20-inch by 4-inch fat tire e-bike with a folding design. I've got the 1,000 watt model in beautiful pumpkin orange, and it also came with this nifty front and rear basket for free. It has a peak motor output of 1,800 watts, a top speed of 32 miles an hour, and a maximum range of 45 miles. The battery capacity is 600 watt hours, and this bike comes with a crazy 30-day free trial and a 2-year warranty, so you can feel very secure in this purchase. I personally feel like having an e-bike in a campground is absolutely perfect because you can just hop on it and zip around from place to place in the campground or take it down the forest roads to do some adventuring without having to worry about all of the maintenance, gasoline, etc. of either a dirt bike or a motorcycle. And the Hollyland LARK M2 wireless mic has a huge transmission range of 300 meters. It's button-sized, weighing just 9 grams. It provides 48 kilohertz, 24-bit hi-fi sound, has an extended 40-hour battery life, has one-click noise cancellation, is plug and play right out of the box, and even allows for phone shutter control. And I really love the carrying case that the LARK M2 comes in. It reminds me of the typical carrying cases that earbuds come in, where they lock into place so you don't have to worry about them falling out. And the case itself charges them. So if you're in the middle of a long shoot, you don't have to worry about how you're gonna charge these. You just drop them into the case and they'll charge between shots. So big thanks to Heybike and Hollyland for sponsoring this video. There'll be links down in the video description below if you wanna check them out for yourself. If you're regularly camping or if you live in a city, I highly recommend an e-bike like this for yourself. And also, if you do any video recording, a lavalier mic like this is so awesome to have. I don't know why it took me so long to get one for myself. Now back to the video. However, on the other side is the con, and that is that the pay is pretty bad. You know, we're only making $13 an hour here, and there are no benefits. So, you know, obviously no 401k matching, there's no health care, there's no paid time off, absolutely no benefits. You get paid $13 an hour for the time that you work, every hour you work. And yeah, that $13 an hour it is a little hard to stomach because, you know, the people working at the fast food restaurants, you know, the major chains in West Yellowstone, I know for a fact because I've seen the ads, the wanted ads, they're making quite a bit more than we are. And I think you're gonna find that a lot of these work camping opportunities, the pay is not gonna be that great. If you're near like a major attraction like Yellowstone, the pay is gonna be kind of worse than if you are in a work camping gig that doesn't have some sort of major attraction, something to increase the supply of labor, which is going to drive down wages. If you're working out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing exciting going on there, then the pay is probably going to be a lot higher for that work camping gig. But yeah, if you're near a major national park where like just everyone wants to work camp at, then, you know, the pay is going to be not great. Now, I know I did just say there are no benefits, and I guess there is one big benefit to work camping, and that is the free spot. But when I said benefits, I mostly meant in the traditional sense of employment, like, you know, 401k matching, paid time off, or whatever, all that stuff I said earlier. You do get a free site, typically. And honestly, I wouldn't even consider a work camping opportunity that didn't have the site included and didn't make you have to work a certain number of hours first to pay for that site before you started to earn, you know, actual income. And that's how it is here. We do have a fully free site included, full hookups, water, sewer, electric, and another thing to go along with that site is typically you live on site. And so there's no commute. You know, I wake up, I get dressed, I eat my breakfast, I walk out the door, and it's like an 1/8 mile away from where I'm camping to the office that I begin my workday in. And not having a commute is fantastic. I've had really long commutes when I lived a more traditional lifestyle. I've had commutes that were an hour and a half, and it's pretty terrible. And so living on site with no rent and no commute is pretty great. However, now there is the con to that. And this is something that I've heard of many campgrounds, not just this one, especially older campgrounds. And it's that the utilities are pretty garbage, you know, and it's pretty common for Wi-Fi at campgrounds to be awful. And this campground is no exception, unfortunately. It's a really old campground. It started in the 1940s, and the infrastructure shows that. The electrical is not great. When the campground was really busy, the voltage that I was measuring from my electrical box feeding into my travel trailer was 109 volts. That's not safe. That can damage your electronics. It can damage the control boards in my RV for my refrigerator, my air conditioner, etc. And it's because where we're camped at, we are in the worst spot, and that's pretty typical too. The work campers are usually going to be given the worst spot in the campground because the better spots are reserved for the paying customers, and that makes sense. but it's just a fact of work camping. You know, and the electrical is not the only utility that is questionable here. The water comes out of the tap with a green tint to it. And so us work campers here, we don't drink the water from the tap. There's a spring not too far away that we go and we fill up our water jugs at, bring that home, and we fill up our fresh water tanks. Now, I personally haven't done that. The other work campers have. Thankfully, I have a Berkey water filter, and it makes the water crystal clear, even though it goes in green. It still makes it crystal clear. There's no taste or very, very little taste in the water. And I trust that Berkey filter, and I am so thankful that I have it, because if I didn't, I'd have to go and fill from that spring too, or, you know, I'd struggle to find drinking water. And it's not just that. The Wi-Fi here is also pretty questionable. It goes in and out pretty regularly. And the Wi-Fi doesn't even reach to the work campers area. And so we don't get that benefit of Wi-Fi. And so I've had to keep my T-Mobile subscription going since I've been here, paying $60 a month for that. Thankfully, there is a cell tower right up on that hill. And so I do have excellent 5G T-Mobile. But if I had really good Wi-Fi reception, you know, I'd be able to save that $60 a month. And so yes, typically you get a free site with no commute, but you're gonna be in the worst site that they have. And if it's an older campground, the utilities at that site might not really be usable. So another huge pro of work camping, and the reason we chose to work camp here in the first place, is because it's so close to Yellowstone National Park. We're only 10 miles-ish from the entrance from West Yellowstone into Yellowstone National Park. And so we thought that that would be amazing. You know, Yellowstone is such a massive national park that work camping here for 5 months would give us so much time, so many opportunities to explore Yellowstone National Park, and we were extremely excited about that. And so whenever you're choosing a place to work camp, you know, you can choose to work camp near a place that you've always wanted to visit, or what's next on your list of places to travel to. But the downside of that, at least for working here, is that it's full-time and the work is very physically demanding. And so at the end of a long 40, sometimes 45-hour work week, you're just tired. You are so tired that you need a full day typically to recover. And so, you know, with only 2 days off, that first day is spent kind of just laying around at home doing, you know, chores here and there that aren't too physically demanding, just kind of recovering from the work week. And then the next day, unfortunately, a lot of times is spent driving to the nearest actual city, like Bozeman, Montana, or Idaho Falls, Utah, which are over an hour and a half away, because the grocery stores in West Yellowstone are very small, and so they don't have a very good selection, and the prices are astronomical. And so it makes so much more economical sense to drive into one of the major cities, do this huge, grocery trip, and at a Walmart or a Costco, and bring all of that back home. Ro and I both have prescriptions that we need to pick up, and so we've been picking those up in Idaho Falls. And so, whenever we need to go to the grocery store, or we need to go pick up our prescriptions, or we pretty much need to do anything that you need an actual city for, it eats up the entire day. And so what that has made is that we just haven't had very many opportunities to go into Yellowstone National Park and explore. The 4-ish months that we've been here, we definitely have not been into the park nearly as much as we've wanted to, especially because, we like to do hikes. We like to go on hikes, and they're very physically demanding. And so if we're doing physically demanding, adventures on our days off, that means come the beginning of the work week, we're not well rested now, and we have to start the week tired and physically exhausted. And that just piles up into making, just so dead tired. And it's not just us. The other work campers here feel the same way too. In the beginning of the year, we started talking about maybe doing 3-day work weekends, working 10 hours a week, 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, 4 days a week, still getting our 40 hours in. But unfortunately, nothing ever really came of that. And so, at a job like this one in particular, being that close to Yellowstone hasn't resulted in us getting to go into the park nearly as much as we'd like. And maybe you're thinking, well, just go into the park on your, when you get off work. Well, our work hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. with an hour lunch in the middle. And so 7 p.m. is when we get off work. So we probably wouldn't be able to actually leave until 7:30. And then, Yellowstone National Park is a massive park. And so it can take hours to actually get to, an attraction that you want to see. And so it's just not really feasible to do it after work or in the morning before work. Another huge pro to work camping, and the number one reason we actually started work camping anyway, was to be around people. Ro was feeling very lonely, with our typical travel style where we stay out in the middle of the national forest, way out on BLM land in the desert, completely alone. We do love that style of travel, and honestly, I could do it forever, but Ro needs to be around people for at least half the year. And so, I wanted to do right by her, and so I was like, okay, I can sacrifice, being out alone in nature for half the year, work camp somewhere, and, hopefully we could make some friends, be social, and that would help Ro's loneliness and, help a little bit of mine too, even though I really don't need it that much. And, we were prepared for the occasional camper, the customer here, to get irate or be unreasonable. And, that would obviously be frustrating. But, we were able to shake off those occurrences pretty easily. What we weren't ready for, and what wasn't able to be shaken off very easily, was the drama amongst our, fellow employees, our work campers. If you've watched our previous videos of this work camping experience, that earlier in the year there was an explosive argument that happened with one of the previous work camping couples that ended up with them leaving. They were constantly complaining about the work they had to do, constantly complaining about either not getting enough hours or getting too many hours. It was just complain. And it really soured the work environment, and it's sad that it had to come to this explosive argument that ended up in them leaving. But that really soured this work camping experience, but we were able to move past it. But then it happened again later in the season, another big dramatic moment, an explosive argument. And in all honesty, that just ruined the work camping experience. And the work camping couple that has been here 4 or 5 years in a row now says that happens every single year here. And that's just not something I want to go through. I just want to come to work, do my job. But the problem is that you don't just work with your fellow work campers here, you also kind of live with them. The work camping area that we all live in is like a little cul-de-sac. And so our coworkers are also our neighbors. And so arguments that start at work bleed over into the rest of your life. And so there's just really no escaping the negative vibes that can happen at work. You take them home with you too, because that negativity is now felt by your neighbors. And so dramatic experiences like that just sapped all of my energy. And then the final pro, for me at least, ended up becoming the most positive pro of this entire experience, and that is that the vast majority of the work that I've done here has been outside. I'm a very outdoorsy person. I'm sure most of you can relate to, full-time RVers. I'm sure most of us love being outdoors. And so having almost all of my work being done outside was very fulfilling. However, just like with everything else I've been talking about, there's also a huge con to that, and it's that you're working outside. And so if the weather's not cooperating, if it's an extremely hot, sunny day, you know, it's very hot, sweaty work, just like drenched in sweat at the end of the day. And, you know, you've got to worry about like sunscreen, getting sunburnt, etc. And then on the flip side, at the beginning of the year and now towards the end of the year, it's very cold. This is a beautiful day today, but you know, this is like the first really nice day that we've had, and it's kind of the last really nice day that's in the extended forecast. Every day after this is basically gonna be cold and rainy. Guess who gets to work in it? But it's okay, I've got plenty of layers, I've got a rain jacket, but you know, it's just not the greatest to be working in the cold, freezing rain, but it is what it is. And despite all that, I've still really loved working outdoors. The work here in general that I've done has been very fulfilling, and I usually feel really good about what I've accomplished at the end of the day. So there you go, guys. That has been my pros and cons list of working at this work camping gig near Yellowstone National Park. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's gonna be up to you to decide whether the pros outweigh the cons or the cons outweigh the pros. And also, take a lot of this with a grain of salt, because this is just one man's experience at one work camping gig, but I really wanted to share it with you. So you just had more information if you were looking to get into work camping yourself. But yeah, when it comes to all of the various work camping gigs, the plethora of opportunities that exist out there, just keep in mind that your mileage may vary. But my name's David. This is Fate Unbound, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you regularly watch these videos and you enjoy them, then you know, consider becoming a patron on Patreon.
I know that would make Sweetie happy, wouldn't it, big girl, huh?
Oh yeah, that would make you happy. Or, you know, please subscribe, that helps too.